Okay, so I want to give you a rundown of a sales call that I took about a year ago where I closed a 6K PIF. The sales process that we follow now with our sales reps is exactly the same, so you can literally just replicate it. And I've just pulled this example recording from my program License and Scale, and if you want more information about that, you can click the link below. But let's dive in. The goal of this video is to make you a fucking stud at sales, so you understand the sales process, you know what you need to do, how you need to do it, and how you can actually get leads and turn them into your clients by simply selling them. And I truly believe that if you can sell, you will never be poor. So watch this video, get the value, go implement, and go collect some money, my friend. Let's go. We're going to be reviewing this whole thing. And by the way, just for context, this guy was a pain in the arse. He's still with us today. He's been with us for about a year and a half in terms of being a client, 5-star review, testimonial. But he was one of the most difficult prospects because there's a number of different personality types that you got to look for when you're on sales calls. This guy was a personality type A, which basically means no bullshit, straight shooter. I could already tell he's been burned in the past. He's been on multiple sales calls. So you will see that I deviate from the process here, but I still managed to close this guy. So let's rock and roll.
So, hey, you of course booked us in to chat a little bit more about how we can help you generate more patients for your office. I guess the best place to start. Yes.
Where are you calling from?
I'm from the UK, but I was in Mississauga, say, 2 to 3 weeks ago, and we actually work with the biggest clinic franchise in Canada.
So you're currently in Mississauga?
No, I'm in the UK at the moment. I got back around a week ago.
Right, whereabouts in the UK?
Very far up north. You're probably going to have no idea.
See how this guy's trying to push me off the process, right? Usually, what I'm going through here is we set the frame. So if I pull up our sales call process, right, the first thing you ever want to do on a sales call is you want to set the frame, which allows you to take control of the call. So like, well, look, the main goal of this call, man, is just to shoot it to you straight. I just want to run you through how to fill your calendar with financially qualified, insert whatever the hell they want. For us, it's financially qualified patients. And at bare minimum, I want you to walk away with a game plan on how you can do everything in-house. So I'm trying to set the frame and he just completely pulled me off track here. This is how I could immediately tell he was a type A personality prospect, and I was going to have to deviate from the process if I wanted to get the close here.
So you probably got London. I'm in a place called Cleethorpes.
Okay.
Yeah, very far up north. So are you
He's not happy with that. Cleethorpes is a shithole, so I highly doubt he even knows where that is.
located in, whereabouts are you located again? Remind me.
Edmonton.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I did double check that prior to the call. I just needed to recap.
What brings you back all the way? What brings you guys all the way to Canada for business?
Because our best clinic partners are located in Canada, so.
Interesting.
Yeah, we go over, we meet with them, we shoot content, etc., so it's pretty handy. It's a far trip, but I have a lot of connections and family friends up there too, so I'm up there quite a lot. Yes, so hey, just so you know what this call's really about.
There we go. You see how I've indirectly answered his question. I'm now going back to setting the frame again.
Of course, we're on the call because we want to know if we can help get more patients through the door, bottom line. I want to find out a little bit more about where you're at, where you're trying to get to, what you feel stopping you from getting there. And then as I mentioned to hey, if I believe that we can help you out, great, I'll read through what we do A to Z. Say worst case, we can't. I can go ahead and refer you over to someone that might be able to. Is that okay with you?
What would be the obstacles?
What a fucking difficult guy, man. This is the only person that's gone to me when I say that and I set the frame. What would be the obstacles that would prevent you from working with me? This guy's amazing, though, by the way, just for context. Like, he's probably one of our best clients. He's crushing it.
We can't help him.
There's a lot of people I get on the phone, and I would say probably 70 to 80% of the people that we can't help. For example, people that don't have a budget willing to invest, people that don't have high-end facial aesthetic and body contouring treatments that they can sell packages for, people that aren't open to having financing options for their patients to make sure that, of course, you can accommodate if they can't pay up front. There's a number of different things. If they're not open to growth, if they don't have a team that is willing to scale. Now, I'm not saying by all means, we work with some solo estheticians and things like that, but as long as they're open to growth and they understand that it's not going to be easy. And another thing, if I just get the impression that they're looking for somebody to do absolutely everything and they think it's going to be a smooth ride, which we both know, hey, business is hard, right? And it requires an equal level of commitment. Does that answer your question?
Sort of, kind of.
Okay. And do you think you check all those boxes? Is there any red flags there that you feel you might fall into?
So basically what I've done here, I'm eating a fucking apple on the sales call. I was hungry as hell. I was back to back on this day. Anyway, what I've done here is because he's a type A personality and he already knows what I'm trying to do in terms of the sales process. I can tell because he's been on a lot of these calls before because I got that on the intro call. Now, that being said, what I've done is I've leaned out here so he will lean in. What a lot of people will do on sales calls is they will go in and they will get asked difficult questions like, well, why should I work with you? And, what would stop somebody from being the right fit and things like that. Just difficult questions that most people would become the prospect's bitch at this stage. They'd be like, oh, well, based on the treatments you have and who you are, you'd be a perfect fit, Mr. Suhaib. But here I didn't do that because I could tell by the personality of who he was that if I did that, he would have leaned out and he would have seen me as any other salesman. So what I did here is I leaned out. I was like, look, if you have this, that, this and the other, we can't work with you. Do you feel like you're in any of those boxes that would prevent us from working together? And the reason that I do that is because it makes it seem like I'm not desperate. I come across that we've got plenty of clients. I don't really care. I'm looking for people that we can actually help. So you want to lean out sometimes for the prospect to lean in.
Oh,
I'm just writing out these things. Give me a
okay.
second. So, just to answer you, in terms of cost, I'm a cardiologist. Okay? So I'm pretty much a physician. I do intensive care at the hospital. I'm the medical director of the hospital, and I own my own clinic. We basically perform all community testing within our clinical setup, which is a private clinic. That's my flagship.
Yeah.
Okay? That's where I make my money as a cardiologist. Not an assistant, not a dermatologist, none of that nature. Okay? I also own my own wellness center. That's where we run our cardiac rehab program. We run a weight management program. We have
semaglutide by chance?
Yeah. Oh, weight management is beyond semaglutide. I'm the only cardiologist in this province that has the American Board of Obesity Medicine.
I could already tell at this point, number one, type A personality. I immediately identified that. Number two, I can tell that he wants an ego boost. You know, he's coming on this call and he's telling me, I'm all of these things. I'm the only person that can do this. So I'm going to touch on that later on in the sales process when I try and sell him. And I want to big up his ego through this call to make him like me more.
So I had 2 years of training to become where I am. Okay? So weight management is beyond semaglutide. Not just semaglutide. Semaglutide is a starting point. Okay? We also basically have a full physiotherapy service, kinesiology and mental health. Okay? Now, 2 years ago, my wife started a small little project for medical aesthetics. And I'm supporting that project. Okay? In terms of the high-end products, okay, we invested in several companies. We did not go with one single company. We took the best out of each. InMode, Cutera, basically the Morpheus 8, and we have several other machines. You can give you our website. You can see the line of products that we carry and the type of equipment that we have. Okay? In terms of team members, and this is my biggest challenge, is team members. If they don't like you, they're not going to work with you. Okay? They had several other people within the advertisement industry that took on the Mona Lisa's portfolio. And if they're not convinced of what you tell them, even though it might be true and absolutely fantastic, they're girls. They're just going to boo at you. Behind your back, the smile on your face, you know how girls are. Okay? So I need my girls because these are the same girls that look after my patients with heart disease. So the spa is just a side hustle for them. It's not their main source of income. Okay? In terms of financing option, we haven't really applied a financing option, but that's easy to arrange. Does that answer your questions and whether or not we should carry on with the conversation?
That pretty much answers my questions. So when you say that your main concern is your team isn't going to be open or they might not like me, well, hypothetically speaking, or they may have. So you guys, it sounds like you've worked with a couple of marketing companies before, right?
So see here how I picked up on that he said, oh, if they don't like you, they won't work with you. And you mentioned some other advertising companies. This is where I'm going into past solutions. So if we go back to the demo call framework, after we've set the frame, first thing we want to do is we want to establish a pain and a problem. But because this guy's kind of all over the place and he's throwing me in a million different directions, I'm taking any opportunity that I can to collect ammunition. So when I pitch, I can position us as different. And as Cole Gordon says, which I really like the way that he explains it, your solution needs to be the simultaneous reason why everything else they've tried in the past has failed and why your thing is different. And the only way that you can do that is by having a really good tight-knit discovery process. You need to understand what their pain is, what their problem is, where they're trying to get to, and what they've tried in the past. And he gave me a little snippet or a little piece of information, like a little nugget basically saying, hey, I've worked with other people before. So I'm taking that nugget and I've got the X marks the spot. He's tried people in the past. I'm now going to dig. I want to know what he's tried. Why didn't it work? Why is he on this call looking for other solutions? Because then, if I know what he's tried in the past, I can then try and position our solution as different.
I have, yes.
So you've been on calls like this. You know what the guarantees look like. You've seen the presentations. You've seen the promises. You've seen all that.
I have.
There you go. Boom. And this is why he's so burnt on the call. And this is why he's so no bullshit. Because he's been on so many calls like this before. And this is a common thing that I see a lot of people fall into, where they're trying to follow this very linear sales process with sophisticated prospects in a sophisticated market where they've been on a million different calls before. If you ask somebody who's been on a fucking sales call before, so John, how does not being at 100k a month affect you personally? They're just going to laugh at you. If anything, they immediately put you in the same box as every other agency, and you don't want to do that. The minute that you get associated with every other agency, nobody's going to buy from you because you're the same as everybody else. You're a snake oil salesman.
Okay.
Selling the same shit to the same people. And they've seen it a million times over.
So,
which is why I'm never impressed by a conversation. Okay, if you want to impress me, show me results. But the conversation will never impress me.
So, Suhaib, let me ask you two things. Because number one, I'm assuming that, of course, if you're on this call, you guys can handle more patients. And number two, I'm assuming that you wouldn't be on this call if you didn't believe that you needed help to get those patients. So, why?
I'm reframing here. Because he's telling me, like, I've been burnt before, I only give a shit about results. And I know a lot of people get these things, especially if you're in a sophisticated market, any medical-based niche, remodeling, whatever it is. They've been on so many calls before, roofing, solar. Sometimes reframing the conversation can really help. And a simple reframe that I've used here that I use a lot of the time is if somebody's like, yeah, I don't really give a shit about anything but results. I've been on all these calls. Nothing impresses me. I'm just going to go, well, look, man, at the end of the day, you've got to understand that you've came to me for help. And there wouldn't have been no reason for that. You wouldn't be on this call if you didn't need help. So I'm just simply reframing and going, well, I mean, let me just reframe here a sec, man. You wouldn't be on this call if, number one, you were confident that you had enough patients through the door and you were at full capacity, right? Got it. So you have a problem. You need more patients is essentially what I've just uncovered. And number two, if you didn't feel like you needed help solving that problem, you wouldn't be on this call too, right? Yes, exactly. So I've established the pain, I've established the problem, and I've reframed the fact that he has came to me for help and I'm not the one that should be answering to his questions, pretty much.
Are you back on this call? Like, you've already worked with companies. You've already...
Type A personality, I'm shooting it to him straight. And you can see how the shift in my tonality has completely changed. I'm not going like, so why are you on this call? I'm not being combative. I'm like, I've reframed the conversation with, you're on this call because you have a problem. That problem, you're not confident that you can solve, or you don't want to allocate the time and attention to it simply because you're busy. So why are you on this call? Like, what are you actually looking for? I'm just being a complete straight shooter and I'm matching his energy. People buy from people that they resonate with and relate to. And this is why, when you go through somebody's sales funnel, if you resonate with a specific testimonial, you're probably going to be more likely to close. This is why testimonials are so powerful. Because if you have testimonials from a bunch of different personality types and a bunch of different people, people are going to resonate with people that seem like them and have past experiences like them. Like, I'm not even kidding, and I don't want this to be represented in the wrong way. I have testimonials of people that are, give you an example, like Indian people, Pakistani people, black people. And I find that when I send testimonials that are like those people, that are from the same ethnicity, same background, same experiences, or people that have been burned before, and I send them a testimonial of somebody that was burned before that was super skeptical, the likelihood of them closing is way higher because they resonate and relate to the people that are similar to them and have had similar experiences to them.
You've already worked with a couple of companies. What's the reason that you're coming back to trying to find somebody else?
Well, we are looking for somebody to replace our current person who did well for us for a period of time.
Boom. I've now got more information. I now know that they've got a marketing agency. And clearly, they wouldn't be on this call trying to replace them if there wasn't a problem. So now, I've got X marks the spot, I've got the shovel, I've dug deeper, I don't want to go even deeper. So he's told me that it's not working, or he's indirectly told me that it's not working by saying, oh, we're looking for somebody else to replace them. Why? What's going wrong? Is it the results? Is it the relationship? What is it about the results? What kind of ads are they running? This is where I'm going to really dig deep so I can position my solution as different.
But then we started noticing that most of what he is successful in promoting are the easy stuff that are promotable. Okay?
Are we talking like facials, Botox, things like that? Or?
Cost than $200. Okay?
Yeah.
And where we fell short is in our high ticket items. When we come to body sculpting, when we come to microneedling RF, when we come to some of the higher end treatments, that's basically where we found it doesn't matter how much money we throw at him, how much effort he puts into it, he just cannot get those clients.
Bingo.
Okay.
Okay. They need high ticket patients. There's the problem.
And as I understand from your advertisement, that's what you guys' focus is. You're not here to sell laser or Botox.
No.
Are you?
No. We only specialize in high-end machines.
Yeah. So I'm not looking for somebody. Laser and Botox sell themselves because
it's easy, right?
A girl comes in, spends $100 on 10 units of Botox on her forehead, and she leaves, and that's it. Yeah, that's easy to sell. But when you come to somebody and say, well, spend $2,400, and we're going to basically try to decrease your subcutaneous fat by 24% with a single session, then you get people who are doubting you, people who would say, no, that's too much money, so on and so forth.
So let's take a step back here. You're working with this guy. He's advertising the lower end treatments such as facials, Botox, treatments that are more so commoditized and, are really driven by product.
There's only three things that should come out of your mouth on a sales call. Restatements, anecdotal stories, and questions. I got that from Pomosi. This is what we call a restatement. I'm basically just repeating what he already told me to show that I'm listening.
Yeah, those are easy to sell. You know them.
Yeah.
You ask somebody to spend $100, they'll spend $100. If you spend $1,000, they'll take a step back and say, oh, wait a minute.
So what does the system look like that you're running with this guy? Like, is he just generating the leads, then your team calls and sees off the sale? Or?
That's what it is.
So he's just generating the leads?
Yeah, he also does our website and he does SEO and things of that nature.
And does he specialize in medical aesthetic practices, or is he okay, got it?
He does mainly medical aesthetics.
Okay, so he's running your ads. Your team's calling the leads. Is that right?
I got the shovel here. I'm going fucking deep.
Okay.
We also went with a model.
So his team is calling the leads. Very interesting. So now I know my pitch needs to be tailored around us calling the leads. But he's actually going into now how he tried to call the leads. And then I'm going to dig deeper on why that didn't work. Because obviously with the appointment setting service that we offer, we run their ads, we call their leads, we offer coaching and consulting on the back end. I'm trying to figure out which of those pieces of the puzzle he hasn't tried, or something that I can position our solution as different so I can sell him on that unique mechanism within our vehicle or within our product.
Where his team was calling the leads.
Oh, you did? How did you find that?
Well,
Open-ended questions are key. So he said that his team tried calling the leads. He actually paid the agency for the agency to call their leads. So see here how before he starts going on a tangent and starts waffling, I just ask him a super open-ended question. The more open-ended your questions are, typically the better answer you get because it forces them to elaborate and explain. An example of an open-ended question is like, how come? Oh, how'd you find that? Why? Oh, why not? Like things like that. Because you're so limited in the way that you explain the question, it leaves so much room for elaboration and explanation. And we'll see here how he gives me even more information on now why didn't it work when his team called the leads.
Well, was okay until we came to the booking process. And then once we came to the booking, we generated a lot of leads. Mm-hmm. She called them, we secured their appointments, and of course for us to carry on with the appointment, we would require a deposit. Otherwise, our no-show rate is through the roof.
Of course.
Basically speaking, we would try to call this person again and say, hey, can we secure the deposit? And nothing happens. They would either not answer us or would call back or just cancel and say, no, it's not going to go ahead and go with it. Okay. There was quite a few leads generated, but they were low quality leads. And we had no bookings, nor have we seen any return on investment.
Boom! Okay, so now I understand that he was getting low quality leads. So one of the biggest unique mechanisms that I'm going to sell is how we qualify the leads before we pass them over. Number two, it sounds like their appointment setting team that the agency was using wasn't taking deposits. Our team takes deposits. So I've got two unique mechanisms that I'm going to sell him on in the pitch now. I've now got a high level understanding and then I've dug deeper to find out what he tried in the past and why it didn't work and how I can position my solution as different.
That makes sense now. So when his team was calling the leads, so is that not a problem as much when your office is calling? Like, are your office able to convert these people with a prepayment up front? Or?
We had some challenges in our office, and the main reason for the challenges is that we used to run the spa off the wellness center. Because it was a small operation, so I really did not need to separate them at the beginning. It was a pilot project. Now we got the spa separated into its own little entity. So it has a different location altogether. We're still in the same building. So I can go back and forth between the spa, the wellness center, and my clinic. If somebody needs anything from me, I'm there. But it's in its own spa environment. It's nicely renovated. You go in there, yes, this looks like a spa. So it's really nice decor, hardwood flooring, high-end furniture. So it looks very calming and very soothing. It's inviting, unlike the wellness center where there's like a treadmill and an elliptical and people on the mat, other people coming in on crutches because they have WTV claims and MVA. So that's not a spa environment. Okay. So now that we transported the spa to its own location, I'm thinking it's time. It's time for us to get high-end individuals through the door. I'm just not convinced that our current promoter is the person that would do this for us. As much as I like him as a friend and everything, but business is business.
Business is business, right? Yeah, you need to make sure that you're getting what you're looking for. And just so I know where you guys are at with these hiring machines now, let's take, say, True Sculpt's ID as an example. I know you guys have that for the body sculpting piece. Like, how many of these high-end packages have you sold? Let's say, Matt.
I've got all the information I need on what they've tried in the past. Now I want to chunk down. Where are they at specifically? With the devices they want to push, how much revenue is coming in? I really want to dig deeper and expand the pain. I want to expand the gap between where they are and where they want to get to. So then I can insert my solution, which is going to be the bridge between where they are and where they want to be. The bigger this gap is between where they are and where they want to get to, and how unconfident they are in their ability to get there by themselves, the easier it is for me to pitch my solution.
March, for example, specifically.
Zero.
Oh, okay. And how about February?
Look at that. Pain. 0 last month.
How about what?
How about February?
I can tell you, the last 6 months, 0.
Oh, the last 6 months has been completely empty.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Look at that. He didn't want to tell me that at the start of the call, right? Now we know that this device that he wants to push, he's had $0 in revenue for the last 6 months with that device. So I've really expanded the pain here, and I've made the pain way bigger just by uncovering that key piece of information. And a rule of thumb when you're getting numbers is you want to use the word specifically. So what I see is a lot of people will go to a business owner on a sales call, they'll go, oh, so how much money do you make? And whenever you tell somebody that naturally their ego's going to take over. They're going to tell you their highest revenue number. They're going to go, oh yeah, we do 200K a month. When realistically, they probably do like 100 and they hit 200K maybe 5 years ago, 1 month, right? So this is why we ask, how much did you do last month specifically? Okay, how about the month before? How about the month before? And what about 6 month average? So we actually have a realistic gauge at where they're at in terms of revenue and all the numbers that we're going to ask for.
A little bit more sense why you're on call now. So I guess a lot of your patient flow is coming predominantly from injectables, lower end treatments. People come in for those here.
A lot of these are young girls looking for a deal.
Yeah, and they're hopping from the clinic, right? They're coming in for the 20 minutes and they're going to the next clinic.
Basically.
Okay. And when did you get the machines, Suhaib? Have you had them for a long time?
2020, before the pandemic.
Oh wow, okay. So we had
a promotion with Concierge back then, but unfortunately, with the pandemic, nobody was coming into any of these.
Yeah, nobody was in the right mindset to buy because they're a need. They're a want, not a need, and a cash-based treatment, not really covered by insurance. So, are you still paying off these machines, Suhaib? I mean, we both know they're not very cheap.
I'm expanding the pain even more here. The reason I'm asking is he's still paying off this machine is because he hasn't made any revenue in the last 6 months with this device. He's had it since 2020. At this time, he's had it for 4 years. And he's probably still paying off this device that was crazy expensive. Because of my understanding on the industry, I know that these devices can be 6 to multi-six figures. So chances are he's probably in a fucking hole with this device in terms of how much money he's invested to how much money he's got out.
I think I'm close to finish paying them off. We financed them and, like I said, my flagship is my clinic.
Yeah, so I guess a lot of the...
And they all run through the same account.
I shouldn't have been interrupting him here. I was putting my coaching hat on a little bit too soon and giving him like advice on what he can do and like what his problems are. I should have just let him speak here. So just learn from my mistake here. Obviously, this was like a year ago. So yeah, don't do that.
One single company, even though it has different portfolios and different names and different banners, it all goes into one account. So I've been sort of supporting the spa and the wellness center for a period of time. The wellness center is finally picking up. We are very happy with the current performance of the wellness center. I think we're looking at significant profit within the next 2 quarters. I'm very happy with that. The clinic, of course, there's not enough right now. Well, we're struggling with the spa.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, I referred to them as clinics.
I'm not struggling. I'm happy. I don't think I'm struggling, but the spa definitely needs help.
Problem. Pain.
Suhaib, it sounds like this has been a problem for a little longer than like a month or two. Like, I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering why now. Like, why not 3?
This is a very important question. So a lot of people get these logistical objections where it's like, oh, let me think about it. Let me get back to you. So I'm going to ask like super open-ended question. Like, sounds like this has been a problem for more than like a month or two. I'm going to shoot it to you straight, man. I guess, why now? Like, what's the difference between 6 months ago when you were making no money with this device and now? What made you want to invest in marketing now to try and, get this device off the ground?
4 or 5 months ago, you've had these machines for a long time, and it sounds like you tried advertising with this guy a couple of times.
So basically, there have been minor successes throughout the last couple of years. Okay, there has also been legitimate reasons on his end as why this may not have worked for me. Okay, the environment is one of them. The manpower was another. So in the past, when the spa and the center were together, the same reception would handle both.
Right.
And the wellness center was being managed by the physiotherapist. And the physiotherapist wanted all the resources diverted to his services instead of trying to be equal in distributing the services. So there has been some issues politically. I've since changed physiotherapists, moved the spa out of the center, gave them their own reception, and basically speaking, we've done this just at the turn of the year.
Oh wow, so this is a fairly recent transition from separating the entities now.
Basically. Okay. So next, I went to my promoter. I said, "Hey, we're all on board. Let's start doing this. Let's do some promotions. At this stage, whichever concerns we have resolved. Now let's see some ROI." And I've been disappointed with the last 2 sort of promotions that he has done for us, which is why I reached out. I'm looking for another promoter at this stage. And you'll notice something about me. I'm a patient man. Okay, maybe that's virtue. Maybe that's a negative thing. And I like to build relationships with people. I like to know who am I dealing with.
Yeah, sure.
Okay? I like to understand that we are both on the same page and that we're trying to do something, that's going to be a long-term relationship, not something that we're just going to go in and make some money quickly and then poof.
Yeah, and then it's gone. So waste of time that way, right?
Yeah. So I don't mind slow growth in a long-term relationship. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Now it's your turn to talk.
Fair. Suhaib, I can tell you that. I mean, I really wish I could tell you that I had some
Okay, I could have probably gone deeper here, and I probably should have chunked down on like revenue, net profit, because it sounds like he's got a lot of expenses. I should have chunked down on how much the device cost him to see how much money he's actually wasted in terms of the overall profit that he's made from the machine and things like that. But this guy was very straight up. I already know that there's a big enough pain for me to sell this guy, so I'm now pivoting into the pitch.
Magic unicorn system that was going to change things in 30 days that's completely different to what you tried. I'll be honest with you, I think there's just one or two missing pieces that you might be missing for the piece of the puzzle. I want to...
He's been on multiple sales calls in the past. I'm not going to try and sell him on some magical unicorn solution that isn't even there, right? This is a really good line that you can use with sophisticated prospects that have been burned so many times in the past that are so used to getting on calls with people that are like, we've got a magic system that's going to fucking make you $1 million in... You're just going to go to sleep and then you're going to be rich and all your problems are going to be solved. I'm leaning out again, so he will lean in. And a lot of sophisticated prospects appreciate honesty. And that is the frame that I'm trying to take on this call here.
Of course, run you through those. 18's dead. See what you think. If you like it, cool. We can talk about next steps. If not, no hard feelings.
Sure.
I won't cry, okay?
I know you're not struggling. Don't worry. Neither am I.
I think we're both in a pretty good position. But if we can be doing better and we've got an unfulfilled desire to help you grow to the next level, then let's chat, right?
Only two reasons why people buy. They've got a need or they've got a greed. This guy's got a greed. He said his other business is doing pretty well, but this business is kind of sinking. He's in a pretty good position, man. I assume that he's probably making a lot of money already, but again, only two reasons people buy. Need means you can go more emotional-based selling, meaning if their business doesn't turn around in the next 30 to 60 days, they're going to go broke. They can't afford to pay for their house, their kids, whatever it is. Greed is somebody that's at like 20K, want to get to 100K a month. Like, they're not struggling. They just want more, right? Naturally. And that is an unfulfilled desire. That is where you need to go more logistical-based selling, which is kind of what I'm doing with this guy here.
Cool. So I probably assume you've recently been looking into a couple of other companies here and there, trying to make the right decision, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's another company that I just had an interview with earlier this morning. They're called Atrium. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. Atrium Digital.
Atrium Digital. Are they a new company? Or?
No, they've been in business for...
Oh, they're in Canada. They're literally in Edmonton.
Yeah, Atrium.
Oh, interesting. And are they MedSpa specific or?
No, they do like general medical. So
Okay.
Atrium marketing, and I think they do.
See, I'm shaking my head. I'm like nodding my head here because I'm like, I've fucking got this guy. I'm going to close him. I already knew at this point when he said he's looking into somebody else in his area that doesn't specialize in medical spas. I already knew that I had him by the balls.
Like physiotherapy clinics and some all different sort of portfolios. Their website says they have about 20 years of experience.
Got it. Okay, so it's a little bit more generic on the medical side.
Yeah. Some of their clients include Canada Western Bank, St. Joseph Basilica, Banff, just a few other people that they serve. So they're multifaceted. They don't just do religious spas and treatments, but we're not looking for you guys to promote the spa. I'm looking for you guys to promote high-end services. That's what I'm looking for. And I think promoting the spa and promoting high-end services are two separate things.
Of course.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, because if you think about medical spa, a lot of medical spa marketing agencies say they can help you. There's a patient guarantee there. It sounds great. And usually it's just for low-end treatments and cheap promotions.
Yeah. And I've seen that. I've seen that with the current guy I have. And that's fine. I mean, that's great. Wonderful. But,
I mean, it can work, but when you factor in like the product cost, the estheticians.
With all, just to be fair to him, when I asked him to promote these things, he said it's out of his field of expertise. So he was honest with me. He wasn't trying to, give me promises that he can't deliver. So he's a good guy. He's not like somebody who's just in for a quick buck. Okay?
Yeah.
But he lacks experience with these high-end services.
And with you, so you spoke to a couple of other people. I'm going to ask you a question because I think it's important. What are you still looking for?
Open-ended. What are you still looking for? The final question before I move into the pitch.
Like, nobody's blown about your chair yet.
Well, I think Atrium is a good company, to be honest. That's why I mentioned them. I just think they will be very much similar to what I have right now.
Bingo.
Maybe a little bit better because their platform is not social media. Their platform is mainly Google Ads.
Okay.
So that's their platform. So we might be able to do a little bit better with them. They may improve on our sort of outlook within the search engines. So we might be able to climb up the ladder. So in that sense, I think they're a good company to deal with. They did point out a few things out of looking at our website that I was unaware of, and probably will do better in general in terms of our website design and the way that people can see us when searching for service. The only thing I'm not sure of is whether or not they're capable of handling a service that will cost a client $2,500 plus.
Boom.
And did they buy?
So now I know what I need to sell him on. He wants financially qualified patients that can afford his high-ticket services. That's my selling point.
Let's talk about the ad spend on Google as well, because I know it's so much expensive.
They did. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. So, with that in mind, let me run you through what we do. I know you definitely want to know. And then we can go from there. Can you see my screen? I think it's just a little bit easier for me to explain it visually. I'm not going to make you fall asleep within a 1,000-page presentation. I'll go through it. So I feel I'm most relevant for you. Okay, now the first question you have on your mind, which I definitely know is on your mind, is who the hell is this random British guy, right? What does he know?
I didn't want to put it in those terms, but go ahead.
Hey, well, I'll say it then. Now,
I did think that was a fake accent you had.
No, it's real. I'm a pretty good actor if it is.
Humour is one of the best ways to build rapport. And I'm not saying that rapport gets you close to a sale, but it certainly allows people to trust you a little bit more, especially when they're very sophisticated, skeptical. This guy came on the call and was completely fucking shut off. Like, if we look at his energy at this part of the call as opposed to the start of the call, you can see a radical shift. And that's simply because I've been able to build rapport with him, pick him apart and slowly break him down to the point where he's vulnerable and open with me and giving me all the information I need to move into the pitch.
It's fake, that's for sure. Now, ironically, my name is Cameron England, and I am from England. I know it's a little bit ironic. Just for a little bit of context, we work with the #1 franchise in Canada for medical aesthetics. Spent over $2 million in patient acquisition last year. Bottom line, I kind of know what works. I kind of know what works, and I know what doesn't. We've tried the Botox, we've tried the fillers, we've tried the low-ticket treatments. We don't focus on it anymore. Because we found very quickly that we want to scale something, our business, and the other clinics that we work with businesses, it makes more sense to go for treatments that we can sell higher-end packages for that range up to the $1, $2, $3, $4, $5,000 per patient, rather than seeing 50 Botox patients in order to make that amount of money. Now, Suhaib, prior to this call, did you get a chance to take a look at any of the testimonials that we've got?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Cool. One of them I want to show you, just because they're one in Canada, and I feel like they would resonate with your situation as well. This was for facial aesthetics. Are you familiar with HIFU? High intensity focused ultrasound. Okay. So it basically helps with skin tightening, wrinkle reduction.
Chocolate therapy.
Correct. Yeah, very similar.
Chocolate therapy and cavitation. I'm familiar with the physics, yes.
Yes. And then another treatment we were advertising for them was cryolipolysis. So
okay.
I'll show you an example of the results they got.
Maybe when we're 20K in the first week. So that we like this, we're 80, 90K a month. Oh, we get 80 only from Cameron to 8,000? Yes.
Yeah, we're all, but you kind of get the point, right? They made a whole lot of money. Now, here's the thing. I know you've been on calls like this before, Suhaib, which is why I just got 100% to the point and asked you that, where everybody's really trying to guarantee and promise the same thing. And the reality is, most people that you speak to is going to be trying to sell you on the old way, which is usually Facebook ads, which is discounted offers to get people in, some sort of follow-up system. So whether it's AI follow-up and having somebody calling your leads, it usually equals one of three problems. Or, to top it off, maybe it's somebody that's telling you they're going to optimize your website.
People buy from people that know their problems better than they do and can identify future constraints that they can't even see, okay? So essentially what I'm doing here is because I know the market so well and because I've been on so many sales calls at this point, I know every single thing that they've been pitched, why it doesn't work, and what the biggest pain points are around the old way, okay? If we go to this picture here, which is basically like a 5-year-old drawing explaining this, the prospect is in Hell Island. They want to get to Heaven Island. Your solution should be the easiest, fastest, and safest way from them getting from current state to desired state. There's a bunch of other options that could potentially get them to the other side of the fence from current to desired. But my goal on this call is to position those options as inferior to my superior product, okay? And then to harpoon the sharks, which is the objections that he's going to give me on this call, which I pretty much already done a good job of. I've already pre-framed a lot of his objections. He threw a lot of them at me at the start of the call, so the close should be a lot easier.
Website, which usually doesn't directly mean that it's going to optimize for acquisition. It's just going to make your website look fancy, but it's not going to bring people through the door. And usually with a system like this, you fall into one of three problems. Either you don't get enough leads or booked appointments, you get a ton of bookings but nobody shows up, or the people that come through the door are Groupon shoppers that aren't serious about sticking with a treatment plan. Now, by the sounds of it, it sounds like you've had a collective of all three, but number three is the biggest point that you're mainly concerned with. Would you agree with me on that?
I do.
And have you tried, Suhaib, by chance, any sort of Groupon promotions to get people in? Have you ever considered doing that? Or?
We shied away from it.
Yeah.
We thought that's not the type of clientele that I had a couple of estheticians that built a couple of Groupon sort of ads and whatnot. And I just was never convinced that that's the type of client I wanted.
Right. And the reason I bring this up is because you'll very quickly realise too, I know you've probably seen ads from other clinics in your area and in Canada and so on. Everybody's doing the same thing. Like if you look at the ads that everybody under the sun is running, it's these mini mommy makeover ads, cheap discounts, 20 units of Botox. And the thing is, when you run ads like this that are the same as every other clinic under the sun, you're only seen through a lens of pricing, right? And you're attracting those type of clients that don't know like.
So I'm essentially explaining the problems with his current model. And I'm selling him on my model. So this is me showing him the other options that he's got, why they're inferior to my model.
I can trust you. They don't see you as different. They don't see you as the go-to professional. They purely see you through the lens of, wow, Suhaib at Mona Lisa is running another cheap promotion, and I can just keep using these promos and getting it for a fraction of the price, right?
And he explained to me on the call earlier in the discovery process that he was tired of getting people in that were broke. So this is why I'm really doubling down on this, because he can resonate with it.
What that basically means is you get a bunch of people coming through the door for the 20 units of Botox. Once you factor in your cost per acquisition, your cost for the esthetician to do the treatment, and your cost for the Botox in itself, and the fact that they come in for the 20 units and then they disappear off the face of the earth and you never see them again, well, there's not really much money to suffice for it, right? And this is the problem with only advertising these lower end treatments. Go on.
Cameron, you're preaching to the converted. How are you different?
What was that, sorry?
I said you're preaching to the converted. How are you different?
To the converted, what do you mean?
It's a phrase. You're preaching to the converted.
I'm young, you're going to have to explain that to me. Come on.
Well, basically, I understand what you're saying. How are you different?
Okay, let's cut to the chase. Let's cut to the chase, Suhaib. I appreciate I want to go to bed too. It's pretty late out here. Okay, we very quickly realised...
So see here how I kind of went on a little bit too long here. Some prospects, you are going to have to deviate from the process. Like this guy even called me out on it. And this was a detrimental call when I had this huge paradigm shift where I always thought that I need to follow the same sales process on every single call when it's not necessarily the case. Like I've actually closed people in like 5-10 minute sales calls where I'm just matching their energy, especially when you get on type A personality type calls with people like this that want the no bullshit, match their energy. Like you see here how I completely shifted my energy there and I was like, look, you want the no bullshit? Cool. I want to go to bed too. Let's rock and roll. And he started laughing at it, right? So sometimes you've got to match their energy. Don't think you need to go through the entire process. I've closed people in 10 fucking minutes and collected like 10, 20K over the phone just by being complete no bullshit with people.
When we were partnering with clinics, what you actually want is, ideally if you have these higher end treatments, people with a good credit score, people who understand it requires commitment to see results, people who have the discretionary income to spend and they have a problem that you and your team can solve. Now, just to cut to the chase, what this program's not going to do is I don't want to guarantee you hundreds of leads. I don't want to burn your staff out by turning them into a call center. I don't want to run generic ads that bring in wrong type clients. And I don't want to throw crappy leads at you and have you do the hard part, which is converting them. Now, what this program is going to do, just to skip over the top pieces, is have you spending less time jumping on calls with idiots like me and more time on moving the money needle, selling packages, getting referrals, and actually making your money back on these machines that you probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on and are probably in the hole with at the minute, let's be honest. Now, the problems with agencies are most of the time if they have an appointment guarantee, they only care about hitting that guarantee. Everything's copy and paste, and the nurture messages that they send out are just templates because it's the best way for them to scale. The way we curb that problem is pillar number 1, which is using authority-driven ads to actually position you as the go-to professional in your area. Just to show you an example of what that looks like, we use content from in your clinic, also content that we've got pre-recorded that we know performs. We only work with one clinic per area, so we know nobody else is using the same content. I'll show you an example. I know you have Morpheus 8, and this is a treatment that we're very well versed in advertising.
Today, we're performing Morpheus 8 to transform our patient's skin for a smoother and more youthful appearance. We're starting the treatment with topical numbing cream to make sure they're comfortable throughout the process.
But you kind of get the point, right? The goal here is to build the know, like, and trust factor, have pictures, images, and videos in your office so we can start to build you and position you as the go-to professional. And we also pair that with making sure that we're targeting people based on their estimated yearly income. Now, by all means, Suhaib, that doesn't mean everybody walking up to your clinic is going to roll up in a Lamborghini with Gucci sliders on. I wish it did. However, if we can filter out the lower ticket clients who do not have the discretionary income to spend by building the know, like, and trust factor, positioning you as the professional, and eliminating price shoppers by targeting people based on their yearly income, this is the best way to do it. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Cool. I'll be honest. Go on.
One problem.
Yep.
I'm not an authority in aesthetics.
That's fine. The goal isn't necessarily to build you as an authority because, don't get me wrong, I can't give you 10,000 followers overnight. However, I can still position you as the authority within the ads. If we get videos of you doing the treatment, if we get pictures of you in your office, and even if we don't get that, Suhaib, if we have videos and content around the treatment, that's going to allow us to position you as the professional because what we can do is we can use your content when we go into the next piece, which is building authority. Now, the biggest problem you told me, Suhaib, is these people coming through the door, Cameron, aren't qualified, they waste my time and they don't have money to spend.
So see here how every single pillar that I pitch, I touch on the problems that he told me and how this pillar of my product solves that problem. So a really good language frame that you can use here when you're going through your pitches, you can go, so you know how you told me that you were getting a bunch of people coming through the office door that were unqualified, didn't have the money to spend, and there was no way in hell they were going to buy your high-ticket treatments, right? Yeah, so what we do to prevent that is X, Y, and Z. Insert new solution they've never heard of before, and that's exactly what I'm doing here.
Right now, really, when you get a patient appointment from the current company that you're working with, it really is a flip of a coin as to whether they're going to have the money to spend or not, right?
I would say the odds are less than 50%.
Right. So if I was to say to you, like I'm going to bring 2 types of people. Somebody where you just get a phone number, name, and email, and I'll bring Stacey through your door, who you know is 35, she's got a turkey neck, and she's got a wedding coming up in 3 months, and she wants to look sexy in front of her ex-husband, and she's got a 700 credit score. You'd probably agree with me to say the latter is going to be a lot easier to close, right? And convert onto a package.
Okay.
Anecdotal stories that break beliefs. I gave him an elaboration, and I went, I mean, you basically heard it, right?
So that's the biggest piece of the puzzle here, making sure that when we target these people, we also filter people out by getting the answers to the questions that you actually care about prior to them coming into your office. So that is dependent on...
How do you convince somebody to give them their credit score?
We don't ask it like, what is your credit score? We say, financing is available for our treatment plans. Which option best describes your credit history? That's an example. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. And I can even give you a prime example of this. We work with a clinic that also offers Morpheus 8, and we do the exact same thing. We ask what their age is, what specific skin concerns are concerning them, And we get commitment that they're ready to stick with a treatment plan. We also get their financing options. We also pair that with positioning you as the go-to professional by giving them steps of the treatment, educating and qualifying them around how the treatment works with videos, testimonials, before and afters. So by the point of them coming into the pipeline and saying they're interested, we already know all of this information. Does that make sense, Suhaib? Are you with me?
Yes.
Cool. Now, step number 3, let me ask you a question, because I know you had it in the past where he was calling your lead and it didn't really work out because they were unable to get prepayments. Mm-hmm. If I was to say to you, leads are going to be coming in 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, are you confident your team can call them within 5 minutes?
I'm going to create the gap here again and explain the importance of speed to lead. A lot of people go into, if they have a call center, oh yeah, we can call your leads within 5 minutes before creating the gap. So here I'm going, well, Suhaib, if we had leads coming in 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, are you confident that your team could call them within 5 minutes every single day?
At the moment?
Yes.
I'll have to get back to you about that.
Okay. And the reason I bring this up, and you might have already seen this, Suhaib, but we found that speed to lead and call volume actually determines the amount of money you make. And the numbers don't lie. There was an MIT study done. Within the first minute, a lead is 400% more likely to convert into an appointment. You give it 3 minutes. You go get a cup of coffee, chance of you booking that lead goes down by 300%. And at the same time, the chance of you booking an appointment with a lead and the pickup rate is actually higher on the 7th contact attempt in comparison to the 3rd. So rather than me sitting here and begging you to try and call leads on time, because chances are maybe your team's probably not going to be able to do that 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, I'd rather just have our patient concierge team, who calls 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, do that for you, as well as pairing that with value-driven nurture campaigns, which include videos of the treatment, before and afters, pictures of your office, building authority and positioning you as a professional. Go on, Suhaib.
No, there's about 9-hour difference between.
They work in Eastern Daylight Time. We don't work with UK clients. I know it's a little bit weird. It's a long story. I can run you through it at the end if you like. This is the thing. I know your biggest.
I'm not going to compete with you, so
yeah.
When you run your business, I'm not going to get into your market.
I know your biggest concern, Suhaib, as well. Are they going to be able to call as good as my office? Like, I don't want them representing us incorrectly and things like that.
So I'm pre-framing the objection here because he said that previously when he tried the call center, one of the biggest problems was they didn't represent his office in the right way. They wasn't able to take deposits.
To see this as a call center, because I know you've had a negative experience with what it sounds like that in the past with being unable to take that deposit. I want you to know that this is more so of an extension of your clinic. We get all of this information and we train them on it prior to onboarding and launching your campaigns. Your financing options, medical conditions that disqualify people, local landmarks, how do patients prepare for the treatment, what areas can be treated. That way, rather than them seeming like people that have no medical experience whatsoever, they know the ins and outs of your treatment, your office, and they're in a sense, literally in your office as much as anybody else would be. Does that make sense?
Do you need access to the EMR?
No.
So how are you going to book them?
We book them directly on a Google Calendar and then we have somebody from your office take them over and transfer them after they book it. I'll be transparent with you. I don't want to sit here and tell you we can come into your email because we can't legally as well.
I understand.
Okay, cool. And then as a high-level overview,
Google Calendar will be secure and basically shareable between the two parties.
Yeah, exactly. It's super easy to do. And as a high-level overview, Suhaib, everything that I've run you through here basically equals, well, what we're on the call for. High-end qualified appointments. And it'd just be a case of you taking a look at email, text, or Slack and receiving messages like the one here. So you get a confirmation saying, James has booked an appointment with the Mommy Tummy Rescue promotion, for example. You'll have their name, their email, their phone number, their appointment, maybe their BMI if we're running a body sculpting promo, because we both know that that's an important piece of information. Somebody 200 pound overweight isn't necessarily going to be the right fit for True Sculpt. They might need something a little bit more invasive, right?
No, they can come to my clinic and I'll put them on Ozempic.
Perfect. So we can potentially offer that on the back end, right? That's what they're going to need, not True Sculpt. And things like the areas that's bothering them, their commitment level, their credit score. A big thing for us, Suhaib, much like, and you're very familiar with this because you're in the weight loss space, it's like me saying, I want to lose weight, but having no idea what my maintenance caloric intake would be. I eat lettuce all day, but I really have no idea as to whether I'm moving in the right direction if I'm not tracking the numbers, and that's a big thing.
Another anecdotal story to break beliefs, or some kind of analogy that broke a belief, right? This is why I'm explaining, this is how I explain how important reporting is. We can step on the scale every day, but if we're not tracking everything, if we're not tracking our weight, our calories, our stepped intake, how many calories that we're burning. We can eat lettuce all day, but we have no idea if we're actually moving in the right direction or not. This is how I break the belief and set the precedent for the importance of reporting.
Thank you. So every single person that books in for your office that we book in, will be filled out on a sheet like this. You'll have their name, the campaign they booked for, their occupation, their credit score, the treatment costs if they're aware of them, and any additional notes. For example, Yanisha here, who we can see tried call sculpting before, but she didn't see results. And she's also interested in fillers, right? And then we also get from your side of the puzzle, Suhaib, did they show? Did they get a proof of financing? How much did they spend? Why didn't they convert if they didn't? That way, we know if we're looking at every single... Go on.
Who fills this in?
Our team fills out everything in the blue. You fill out everything in the green. Anybody from your office. So we're filling up everything up to the point of bringing them in. We just want to know, did they show, did they close, and how much did they spend? Because again, what isn't tracked can't be improved. So we know that if we're tracking everything from A to Z, we can provide the necessary adjustments and improvements to help in order to help you grow. Does that make sense?
Make sure all of this is blurred. All the private information on this screen.
It does.
For example, here we can see Yanisha is sleeping on it and a financing appointment got cancelled and she'll come up with her money and purchase, right? This way we know exactly what's going on. And the biggest thing that you're looking for, Suhaib, which it sounds to me is the missing piece right now, is you pay a growth partner or a marketing agency to make an ROI. Otherwise, why would you pay them? So this way, it's kind of unreasonable for you not to know how much money you make because you'll have the amount, you'll have the close rate, you'll have the closes there that you can view at any time, at any point. Does that make sense?
It does.
Cool. And let me ask you as well. So let's say, Suhaib, we do decide that we want to roll with this and this is the right bit at the end of the call. Do you think we would have a problem with somebody from your office going in and filling that information out for us?
Can be.
Why would that be a problem?
The current reception, she's also one of our statisticians.
Mm-hmm.
So she might be busy in a facial or a chemical peel or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And if right now that you're talking to me, if we want to really consider this seriously, I would to have a dedicated, front staff instead of having one of the workers basically managing the phone and the lines and the bookings.
Mm-hmm.
I would need to have somebody that's pretty much dedicated there to sit down, call the client within that 1 minute time frame.
No, we'd be doing
whatever
all
we do.
We'll be doing all that. So the only thing that we ask from you guys is you fill out the sheet. So
yeah,
we
the sheet should be.
Okay.
With our other company, we've been filling out sheets for him as well. He's been tracking, so on and so forth. So we they're trained to do that.
Perfect.
There might be
Okay,
other some statements that you might want us to use.
Yeah.
And then we can basically tell them these are the reasoning that you have to put in here when somebody doesn't book or something of that nature.
Okay. Yeah, and that should be.
Sale is a sale. Is a sale. That's not a big deal. It's just those people that don't book. We need to understand which category we need to put it under.
Yeah, the only people you need to put on here is people that show up to your office. Just tell us why they didn't convert. And if there's somebody that's booked in, if they no show, you just change it to a no.
Got it.
Right. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, it does. No, that should not be a problem.
Cool. And then the final piece of the puzzle here, Suhaib, I've already mentioned our exclusivity policy. It's really straightforward. We only work with one clinic and zip code due to how invasive the system is, and it would be, kind of stupid for me to put this in place for yourself and then do it for somebody 5 minutes down the road, right? Sounds to me that as well in Edmonton, you're probably one of the only people with these higher end machines, which is going to be a huge selling point. And then the only other piece is we do also have a backend training program. So this program was built with MedSmart. As I mentioned to you, we're partnered with some big franchises. So we do also offer that coaching piece as well. So if your estheticians do need help with the sales piece in regards to how to sell these high-end treatments, we have the program. We have weekly coaching calls that they can jump on with other clinic owners. But besides that, Suhaib, the only other thing is, of course, we do the market research initially before getting rocking and rolling. We scan ads within 15-mile radius to identify main competitors, just to make sure that we're positioning you as different and as the 1% of clinic owners. But besides that, Suhaib, that's pretty much everything I wanted to run you through. I know you're probably wondering, well, Cameron, what the hell does this cost me? I'm going to run you through that in a second.
No, I have 2 questions.
Yes, go ahead.
First question: do you guys want to take over the website?
We don't do that. We strictly focus on patient acquisition.
That's great. That's wonderful. I'm happy that's your answer. So you don't need to alter the website.
You don't need a thing. No, we build everything out externally. As you can see here, we build out funnels that look a little bit like this around the treatment, and they're branded with your colours, your before and afters. All of those things are put on here, but we do not need an access to a thing in regards to your website. No.
Question number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this is where it comes. How much is it going to cost?
We're going to run through that. That's the next piece of the puzzle. You know, Suhaib, it's got to be left till the end, right? You're a salesman as much as I am.
I've done this before, so I know.
So let me ask you, Suhaib, I know what's coming here. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to separate the price with the value, just because logically that's the best thing to do.
One thing I've found that works really well when you're on the phone with sophisticated buyers is you explain what you're doing throughout the sales process, because it just creates that like another level of transparency. So here I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm doing, right? I'm going to leave the price until the end of the call. That's how a sales pitch goes.
Do you think this can help you? Let me just be frank.
As long as you're concentrating on high end,
we can discuss that quickly as well. Like, so let's go to your.
As long as you tell me, my focus is not your laser hair removal.
Hell no.
It's not your Botox.
No.
It's not your chemical peels. It's not any of these sort of things. It's not. I'm really focusing on your high end ticket items. I'm focusing on your body sculpting. I'm basically on Morpheus. We're very soon we'll be launching PRP treatments. Mm-hmm. So as long as you tell me that's my focus, i.e. $1,000 and up, is what we're looking at.
Yeah, that's what we focus on. But I'm going to tell you and set the expectation extremely clear, Suhaib. We get people in on an introductory offer with those treatments, but we pair that with qualifying them very heavily. That includes making it extremely clear what their credit score is, making it clear this requires commitment to see results. Are you okay with committing to a series of sessions? How committed are you? Etc. etc. Does that make sense?
Okay. So what are a series of sessions need?
What do you mean?
You said, am I committed to a series of sessions? What's your definition of a series of sessions?
A series of sessions will be 3 to 6, depending on the treatment. Of course, that would be just in the consultation. We have a very, very in-depth screening process in regards to when our leads.
I'm committed to a treatment plan. Yeah. That's the question. Yes, I would be committed to a treatment plan for my clients.
Yeah, so we'd ask them the qualification questions necessary to make sure that they're willing to stick with the treatment plan. Okay. And in regards to, if you are curious, type of questions that we do ask when we're on the phone, you can see that here. So we make it very clear we want to know how long it's been a concern for them, what their skin concerns are, what they've tried before, what's holding them back from feeling fully confident in their face and skin. Yeah, I can send this through if you'd like to see it. But the main thing is we take the prepayment, we get the qualification, we pass the information over to your office, we follow up with them all the way until they show up, and then you guys need to tee off the sale, and we're going to do everything in our power to support you in that process as well. Okay? Cool, pretty straightforward. Besides that, Suhaib, any other questions except pricing?
Nope.
No? We're all good. Cool. Let's rock and roll. So in terms of what you get in, I'm not going to bore you with this. We've already gone over it. It's all done for you. We do it from A to Z, bringing them in, taking the prepayment, qualifying the credit score.
Okay. Hold on. You need to get to the very bottom.
You want me to read all of this out?
Nope, just skip over.
Okay.
I understand you have value. Let's put it this way. Okay, I get it. You
Yeah.
have value. Tell me about the price.
Let's go. So here's what the next steps are. If you think the investment makes sense, you process the investment, we book an onboarding call, we get things set up, and then we generate patients and we're both smiling. And I come to your clinic, I interview you because we get incredible results. Boom. Here's what the price is. Now, we have an initial 90-day program. After that point, it's month to month. Within that 90-day program, the first 30 days is completely refundable. Meaning in that first 30 days, if you're not happy with the service we provide and you don't feel that we're working at the level you want us to, and we don't meet expectations, no obligation money back counted. Okay? Cool. In terms of pricing, super simple. The initial 90-day program is $6,000 plus ad spend, which is dependent on how much we want to spend. We usually recommend between $50 plus per day. Does that make sense?
Okay?
Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. So it looks like
Rule of thumb that I wish I knew then was whenever you're pitching price, you really want to pull down your screen. Because when you pull down your screen, it's like a face-to-face conversation, and it makes the conversation more personal at the point of you pitching the price.
put everything in terms of how our system works, where you're at, where you want to get to, what's stopping you from getting there. I guess, what are your thoughts?
It's feasible.
Okay.
That's my thoughts.
So, do you think
So
value...
you're talking
Go on.
$6,000 plus $50 per day per ad?
Yes. Now, we usually, a lot of clinic partners we work with usually start with one treatment specifically, and then they'll branch out as we make them more money. So maybe we decide to, hey, okay, we're going to start with True Sculpt ID or Morpheus, then we get a 3 to 4x ROI. Next month, we reinvest a portion of that into an additional campaign, for example.
So now $6,000 for the first 30 days. What about the next 60 days?
The $6,000 includes 90-day program.
Oh,
Yeah. Keep in mind that's USD. I know you're Canadian. 6,000 USD.
okay. Yeah, so $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question.
Go
Would
ahead.
it be totally crazy if we believe that the price...
Sorry, give me a second.
Yeah, you're all good.
I'm happy with it. Okay. The only thing I just have to put an include. Okay.
If you don't,
I hope it sounds like I need a
show you the secret.
My screen should knock me up right now, especially past the point of like already pitching the product. I should have pulled my screen down.
And then I added the respiratory therapy, but I'm going to fix the cardiac rehab because it's saying just exercise.
Yeah, no.
And it's required, yeah. So I'll fix that one too, because then I'll show that one to you after. But I'll do this one, and then I'll say we're adjusting the cardiac rehab program as of right now, but we'll do that.
Great job.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You're all good. You're a busy man.
Yeah, I'm all yours.
But yeah, besides that, Suhaib, I guess the other question I have for you is, would it be totally crazy for us to get this rolling today?
It would be, yes.
Okay. What would be totally crazy about that?
It's just that that's not the way I make decisions, but it sounds very promising.
The good old, it's not the way I make decisions.
To get my team on board, I need to basically ask them which treatment they want to promote 1st. And then from there, we can build something together.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm happy you said that, because I don't like to work with people that are extremely emotional that make decisions instantly anyway. So,
Then they're done that, my friend.
and it usually doesn't end well, right? So,
Not really.
two things that I'd like to go ahead and do on this call, Suhaib, because it sounds like, of course, we're on the same page here. We just need to make sure that the team's on board, we can get things rolling. Number one, I want to make sure that ideally if we could book in maybe a 10-minute check-in call on Monday, hopefully I can get...
Bam fam, always book a meeting from a meeting. I definitely could have closed this guy on the call. I do get a down payment, which you'll see in a minute.
somebody from
And he did close in the follow-up.
your team on there. I can make a good impression. Maybe I bring them some virtual flowers and say hello and make sure that they like me. And number two, yeah, that's pretty much the main point here. We can go ahead and do that. And then
What
we
I
can go.
would suggest is the next Zoom meeting, I want to bring my team on board.
Yeah.
So the 3 girls that basically, I'm going to meet up with one of them right now, just tell them what to expect.
Yeah.
Just preliminary, it sounds like a go. I'm happy with what you presented.
Mm-hmm.
The investment is not a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, it's definitely not outrageous.
Yeah.
I had another company that called me like $50,000 Canadian.
Okay. Maybe I should
well.
increase my pricing.
Yeah, if you're looking for that moment.
Yeah.
You'd be scaring a lot of people off. Just fair warning.
Yeah. Yeah. Fully aware.
Those guys did not get my contract.
Yeah.
But I think for what you are providing, like you mentioned, you are providing value. I see it from what you've told me so far. It sounds like very promising. It does take a lot of things off of my staff's shoulders.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. The only thing I'm not sure of is the booking process.
Okay.
Once we have somebody on that Google ad and we call that person and ask them to give us a deposit, and that's what we had the problem with when we got the girl from the other company following up on the leads and booking them for us, is that things fell apart once we got involved and called the client to secure the deposit.
So we're doing that. So we're taking the deposit. So
Got it.
the only time that you guys will need to be involved in that process, you don't even need to follow up with the lead. The only thing you need to do is as soon as we notify you that they booked, they would have already paid the deposit.
And if I knew what I knew now, I should have pre-handled that at the scheduling pillar in my pitch. I should have gone over like, so you know how you told me that you were having problems with your team having to step in and take the deposits because their team wasn't capable. Yeah, so what we do to prevent that is we actually train our team on sales every single day, and a lot of them are actually aesthetically and medically trained. That being said, that means that your team is not going to be involved in that process whatsoever. We're not going to pull them off track from pulling away from the highest leverage thing they can be doing, which is making sales and selling packages. Therefore, our team's going to be doing it.
You just need to move them onto your email, meaning somebody goes in and books them on the email. That's it.
Okay. One thing I need to make sure of is that my team is solidly on board with this. That means if somebody is here or is on the schedule as providing a service, they can't come back next week and say, "Oh, I booked a vacation that day. Can we reschedule the station?" Because that would be
one more time.
Okay. So let's say you guys have the Google ad. I assume you know when my staff is on to look after these clients. We book one of these people in, and then one of my staff decides, oh, she has another commitment with her boyfriend that day. That's a human factor we're talking about.
Can your staff just do that, or do they have set hours?
The spa, they are on contract.
Okay.
So they are on contract with the spa. This is why I say they are moonlighting. I'm getting more people into the spa, but they are mainly contract basis.
Got it.
So if they have patients, they get me. If they don't have patients, they lose out. I just want to make sure that if we are booking them on set spots, that they are committed. Just give me 1 second before they actually leave.
Yeah.
Hi, Teresa, is Jordan still here?
Yes, left.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Because that's the other missing link. But business long enough, okay? The other missing link is the human factor. Okay?
Yeah.
You can have the best product, the best looking place, the best chef. But if you're not in the mood to cook,
yeah.
then
It ain't going down well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good to discuss that with them, just to make sure that we've got that commitment there. That, of course, if we take down a prepayment for a patient, we can reschedule them if absolutely necessary. Of course, we do handle that.
The thing, once you start doing that, you lose confidence.
Yeah.
You lose confidence with people. People just simply hate that.
They do, you're right. The chance of them showing us is going to be lower and to get cold feet.
Oh, yeah. Especially if they're paying top dollar.
Yeah. But yeah, Suhaib, I think that's everything that I wanted to go through. When would you be available Monday to book in a follow-up?
After 1 o'clock.
Okay, should we do...
Mountain time.
Your mountain time. Is it mountain daylight time?
I'm not so sure to be honest.
I think it's
standard. Yeah, it's still, yeah.
Okay, if we was to do Monday at... No, not... Hold on. Can we do
1 o'clock is intensive care unit of some procedure.
Do ideally. Would you want to punch me in the face if I said, let's put down 250 now, and if you're not interested on Monday, we can go ahead and reimburse that? Is that something you'd be open to putting down, just so I've got some level of commitment?
$250?
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, cool, great. I just want to double check the name. Your last name is Alcatraz.
So I put down some level of down payment so I could get some commitment. I knew the likelihood of him closing on the call. I probably could have pushed him a little bit harder. Rule of thumb, which I know now that I didn't know then, is whenever you get an objection, the first thing you want to do is you want to get a tie down. And what I mean by that is you go, okay, got it, man. So like, let's say besides the fact that you need to get your team on board, making sure logistically it makes sense for them, if we can get that done, is there any other reason stopping you from feeling less than 100% certain that this is what you want to do? And if he's like, yes, great. Then I can face that objection head on, overcome it, and then get the close. In this case, I knew this guy was a very unique type of prospect. He was very straight shooter. I knew he would have had to speak to his team anyway. So what I prompted for or pushed for was a down payment. And the pitch that I used here was like, would you want to punch me in the face if I said, just so I can get some level of commitment on my end and I can lock off your area to prevent other people in Edmonton coming to me and wanting to work with us if we put down a $250 deposit? And then I go in. And whenever you get a payment, the way that you close that and you get the payment up is you don't go in immediately and you go, okay, what's the card number? You get a small level of commitment indirectly implying that you're going to take the payment. And then you slowly and gradually increase the level of commitment you get. What I mean by that is instead of me going, can I get your card, please? I go, okay, so he's gave me the commitment, he wants to pay the deposit. Then I go, so would the name on the card be X, Y, and Z? Okay, great. And then the billing address is Y, Z, and A, right? Awesome. And then would that be a Visa or MasterCard? Okay, Visa, card number whenever you're ready. So see how I've gradually worked up the level of the level of commitment that I'm getting when I'm taking the close or when I'm getting the payment, because a lot of people are naturally skeptical. So I get the name, I get the billing address, and then I go Visa or MasterCard, and depending on which one it is, I then ask for the card number. I then, whenever you're taking a payment, is you pull up your screen, and when you pull up your screen, you're putting in the information with them. Never send them a payment link after the call, because the likelihood of them actually closing is 0 to none. So that's pretty much everything on our sales process. I hope this helped. And again, if you want access to hundreds more examples of this, I've got 2 different programs. If you're at 0 to 20K a month, click the link below. If you're at 20K and you want to get to 100K a month and you want my personal help getting there, also click the link below that. And I hope this was helpful. Goodbye.